Hi guys. So for the webinar, we will start like in maybe 8 minutes. So we'll wait for like after 8 minutes. Yeah, thanks. Okay, guys, thank you for waiting. We will start the webinar. So you guys can hear me, right? Hello? Is the voice too low or is it okay? Okay, anyway, I'll start the webinar. Okay. 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 Anyway. Okay. So this webinar is about the new Solis inverters for the Pakistan Sri Lanka market. So it's mainly to be able to be compatible with the high current modules in the market. So we're going to release some new product for the Pakistan and Sri Lanka market. Okay. Then first we will go through our company's profile. In case some of your guys are not very familiar with our company. And then we will go through the new single phase product and also the new three phase product for the Sri Lanka and Pakistan market. And then last part, we will talk about the key competitiveness of our company, which is the reliability of our products. So Solis, we were established in 2005. So we are focusing on the PV string inverters for over 15 years. And in 2015, we have our inverters installed in the Eiffel Tower in Paris. And then in 2019, we got listed in the Shenzhen stock market. And we were the first publicly traded company with a primary focus on string inverters. And then this year, so around maybe June of this year, we will have our second manufacturer factory will put into operation. So this will greatly expand our production capacity. And then there are some general data of our company. So we have an overall like total asset of over 457 million US dollars. And we have global employees all over the world, over 2,000 of them. And around like 300 of them, over 300 of them are the R&D engineers for the product developing. And this is a financial report. So one key feature is that we do not have any bank debt. And according to the 2020 annual report, we have a great, very huge increase on the revenue and also net profit, and also our sales volumes increase a lot. And also in terms of the product shipment, in 2020 we almost doubled the overall product shipment compared with 2019, like reaching 9 gigawatt. And then here are some pictures about our new second manufacturing base in Ningbo, China. And the areas are over like 100,000 square meters. So this can increase a lot of our production capacity to satisfy all the customer demands all over the world. And then we'll first focus on the new single phase product that we're going to release. So the new product is the final model name hasn't been finalized yet, but it's currently the name is Plus version. So it's a 4G Plus. So previously, maybe you guys already know that we have the 4G Mini and the 4G single phase 2.5 to 6K series products, and those products only have like 11 amp input current. But you know, in the market there are a lot of high current modules using maybe 166 or 182 or even 210 solar cells. So in order to be compatible with those high current modules, we try to increase the input current of our inverters. So now for the 4G mini version, we have the plus version, and we increase the current from 11 amp to 14 amp. And also for the single phase 2.5 to 6K, we also increase the current to 14 amp. So this 14 amp input string current should be enough to meet most of the residential solar modules in the market. And here's some feature overview for the mini version. So the 4G, so the plus version is pretty much the same as the previous 4G version, except we increased the strain input current. And overall, like the max efficiency is 97.3%, and it's a 1 MPPT design. And also it has a very low startup voltage, lower than like 60 to 90 volt. So this low startup voltage can guarantee that the inverter can start up earlier in the morning and also shut down late in the afternoon. And for the protection degree, all the inverters have IP65 protection, which is suitable for outdoor installation. And then there are finesse design with external inductor placed at the backside of the inverter. So this can help to maintain a decent temperature inside the inverter cover. And also for those inverters, we have the optional AFSI protection. We will go through about the AFSI protection later in the last part of the presentation. And then also all the inverters support the built-in export power control solution by either connecting a CT current sensor or connecting a smart meter for the export power control. And it's a very lightweight design, only like 7.4 kilograms for the inverter. And another is the single phase 2.5 to 6K 4G plus version. So also we increase the input current to 14 amp, and we have a 2 MPP design on this module, also very low startup voltage. And together with the IP65 protection for outdoor installation. And it also has a AFSAT protection for the arc on the DC side. And it can also connect to the smart meter or smart sensor for the export power control solution. And here the picture on the right side is pretty much the same with previous 4G version, and the button interface is also the same. And then we will quickly go through about the export power control solutions that we can provide together with a single phase inverter. So if you have only one inverter per system, then you can order either a CT model or a meter model. So if you order the CT model, then the model can connect the smart sensor using the pre-made CT cable that provided by Solis, and then place the CT at the grid connection point of the system. And then that CT will measure the power flow at the grid connection point, and then to backfeed the data to the inverter. So the inverter can dynamically limit the inverter output to balance the load consumption. So in that way, oil generation will be used to support load consumption, and then we can guarantee there's no backflow power to the injecting to the grid, or that is the zero injection scenario. So if you have any requirements like a limited injection scenario, so you can also set the backflow power maybe like 1 kilowatt or 2 kilowatt. That depends on your setting in the inverter. And then for the smart sensor package that you can order separately from Solis, and it will come with a 10 meters pre-made cable for the connection between the CT and the inverter, and also another unit of the 100 amp of the current sensor. And that sensor has a hole diameter of 16 millimeter, which is suitable for most of the residential installation. It's a very high accuracy smart sensor as well. And other than the smart sensor solution, we can also provide the smart meter solution. So if you order the inverter with a meter port, then they can connect to the smart meter, and then with a pre-made CON cable that provided by Solis. And also the smart meter has two types. One is the external CT type and another is a direct insert type that we'll talk in the next slide. And other than the, with this smart meter, other than the export power control function, which is pretty much the same as the connecting a smart sensor, another function is that we can do the consumption monitoring. So with this smart meter connected to the inverter, and then you do some settings on the inverter, then we can achieve the power flow monitoring. So on the monitoring system, you are able to see the inverter's generation and also your load consumption of your house. And then you are also able to see the power flow at the grid connection point, which is the where you install the meter. So so that you can have a very clear picture of how your system's power flow is going forwards or backwards. And then another point is that this consumption monitoring function can also be activated to be working like 24 hours every day. So you guys know that even so at night there's no PV irradiance, and then normally the grid tied inverter will shut down, and then the inverter will not able to provide any data to the monitoring system. But for these inverters in the setting, we can turn on a function which we call the 24-hour consumption monitoring. And then when you turn that on, the inverter will keep the data uploading function still working even at night. And then at night, the meter data will go through the inverter and then go to the monitoring platform. So even at night, you are able to see the load consumption data of your house. So that we call the 24-hour consumption monitoring. And then at the bottom, we have some pictures about the how the monitoring system is showing for the power flow. Okay, so previously we're talking about one inverters per system, and now okay, so there are the meter, so which we talk about the direct insert type and also the external CT type, and together with the detailed diagrams of how to connect the meter. So for the details, you can refer to the user manual of the inverter. And then, for example, for the direct insert type meter, we have the package will also include the 10 meters pre-made CON cable for the communication between the inverter and the meter. And then the external CT type. So it also comes with the 10 meters pre-made CON cable, and then another unit of the CT, which is 120 amp CT for the current sampling. And then previously we talked about the one inverters per system. And if you have multiple single phase inverters in one system, and then you want to do the export power control or consumption monitoring, then we can also offer a Epm box or Epm1 5G. So this is the extra control box, and all the inverters will be daisy chained through the RS-485 cables, and then linked to the Epm box. And an Epm box should be installed at the grid connection point of your system, and then connect to the CT to do the current measurement at that point. So this device can support Solis single phase inverters, and no matter what models they are. So you can have one 2K inverter, you can have another 5K inverter. They can all communicate with the Epm 5G. And then up to 10 inverters you can connect in the system. And for the CT's ordering, so we can offer the order. Solis can offer the CT, so you can order the CT from Solis and separately, and we can offer the 100 amp CT and also 300 amp CT. So the dimensions and the specifications are showing on the top of the screen. And then actually for us, we also recommend customers to source a CT like locally. So as long as the CT has a 5 amp secondary current, so they are compatible with the EPM device. So for the primary side of the CT, so because different systems may have different current flow at the grid connection point, so we actually suggest customers to choose the CT based on their own system configuration and find the CT from their local supplier. So this is for the single phase system that we can provide the export power control and also the consumption monitoring for multiple inverters. And then we can talk about this new three-phase product. So the first one is the three-phase small residential product, which is previously a 3 to 20K 4G version, and that has a 11 amp of input current. And now we increase the current to 16 amp, which is higher than the single phase, because for the three-phase system, some customer may want to use some even larger solar modules. So we increase the current to 16 amp. And for the inverter itself, it's pretty much the same as the previous 4G version. So except we increase the strain input current to 16 amp, and it's a 2 MPPT design with 2 or 4 DC inputs based on different power rating of the inverter. And also it has IP65 rating, and it has the external inductor design. And for the 12 to 20K, it has the external fan at the bottom to help the cooling. And this inverter also has the optional AFC protection, and together with a built-in export power control solution. And for the weight of this inverter, it's only like around 18 to 19 kilograms. So this is a very lightweight design, considering the power rating of this inverter, and we can achieve a very high power density for this series of inverter. Then another is the new product. So previously all those products are upgraded from the 4G version product, and now we are going to release another S5 series new three-phase inverter. So this three-phase inverter is going to be used in most of the small commercial projects, and we have 2 models. One is a 50K and another is 60K. They're both support the like a 380 volt or 400 volt of the AC grade, and the input current is 16 amp per strain. And then for the details of this model, it has a max efficiency around 98.7%, and the input current is 16 amp to support most of the high power modules. And then the 50K model will have a 5 MPPT design with 10 DC inputs, and the 60K will have 6 MPPT design with 12 DC inputs. And for the weight and dimension is showing here, the weight is around like 54.5 kilograms. It has intelligent fan cooling. As you can see, there are 3 fans at the bottom to help the cooling of the inverter, and also 3 sets of the DC switch for disconnecting from the PV side. And also for this inverter, we have the optional PID recovery solution that we will talk about later in the next slide. And then the protection rating is IP66, which is higher than previous products. And then on the both DC and AC side, we have the Type 2 SPD for the surge protection, and also together with the AFCI protection and the built-in export power control solutions we will talk about later. And one key feature of this inverter, so if you look at the bottom of the bottom view of this inverter, so we have one 4-pin COM port for the data logging stick connection, and another is a 16-pin COM connector. So this connector is a very powerful connector that can connect, that almost integrate all the communication functions for the inverter, like data chain R45 connection, meter connection, and also some logic interface control function. So all those pins definitions are shown in the menu, so that we can, so when this product is ready, you guys can check the menu to figure out all the pin definitions, and then to use this new 16 pins of the COM connector. It should be a very easy to use compared with the previous versions that you need to connect different terminals at the near the AC side. So now we have a separate communication connector for this communication purpose. Anyway, okay, so for the export power control and consumption monitoring purpose, it's pretty much the same. So the three-phase inverters can connect to the smart meter for the three-phase smart meter for the control and consumption monitoring. That we can also provide two types. One is external safety type, another is direct insert type. And this model is used for 380 or 400 volt three-phase system. And these are the two types of the meter. The direct insert type is max current is 80 amp, and then for the external safety type we have default with 3 units of CT of 150 amp to 5 amp, and optionally we can also offer 300 amp to 5 amp CT for this meter, but you need to do some settings, change the CT ratio inside the meter. So it depends on your system configuration, so we can provide different CT options. And then for the consumption monitoring, it's pretty much the same as the single phase. So we can do 24 hours consumption monitoring to keep the consumption power flow like all day showing on the monitoring system. And then again for the multiple inverter system, so if you have a smaller commercial project that you need like different models of inverters, three-phase inverters to be installed together and then to do the control. So we have the two versions of Epm Box for three-phase system. One is Epm 3 5G, another is Epm 3 5G Plus. So they can all support like different models to be connected together. And for the Epm 3 5G, it can connect three-phase inverters and up to 10 inverters. And then for the Epm 3 5G Plus version, we can connect up to 80 inverters. So this might be suitable for some medium size of the commercial project. And then for the Plus version, it actually has the built-in high accuracy power meter inside, because you see the Plus version is quite bigger compared with the 5G version. So it has a high accuracy power meter inside, and together with the data logging box. So this means if you purchase the Plus version EPM, then you will have both export power control solution, consumption monitoring solution, and the general monitoring box inside the EPM box. So you don't need to buy extra Wi-Fi box or any other data logging sticks for the monitoring. And also for the three-phase EPM, we can also provide the CT and the specifications are showing here. So we can provide from 100 amp to 3000 amp, depends on your system needs. And then so back to the AFCI function, AFCI's protection. So because typically like the residential or small commercial projects, they are rooftop systems. So they are building on the top of the building, and there are a lot of like houses or any high value assets under the PV system. And because the system normally have a quite high DC voltage, and there are a lot of like DC connectors between the solar modules, you need to use MC4 connector to link them. And then any damaged or loosed connector will cause the DC arc in the line, and then that DC arc, if you do not timely cut off that current, then it may lead to the fire disaster. So the AFCI stands for the arc fault circuit interrupter, and this function can accurately detect the DC arc fault in the DC cable, a DC system, and then to timely stop the inverter's generation. So once the inverter stop generation, they will cut off the current. There will be no current flowing through the DC cable, and then to cut off the current across the arc. So in that way we can extinguish the arc and then to protect your system from the potential fire disaster. And currently there's no any formal IEC regulation in effect. But you guys know that Solis, we are the key player in US market. And in US market, we have a standard called UL 1699B for the DC arc fault circuit protection. And that's a compulsory standard in US. And all our Solis US models comply with that standard. And now we just transfer that function from the US model to our IC models. So we have a lot of experience on this AFCI ferrous solution. And in that way, we can solve the false alarm issue to keep the false alarm rate like to a very low percent, because one key problem of this AFCI detection is that if you detect the alarm, detect the arc like falsely, then the inverter must be shut down, and the inverter shutdown will cause the reduction of your generation. So our solutions can have a quite low false alarm rate, and then to keep the system like working without affecting much on the generation of your system. So this is the AFCI protection that we're going to have on our inverters. And then another is the PID recovery solution for our S5 series 50K to 60K. So PID degradation is normally happen on the solar modules with floating configuration, and then there are high potential between the solar modules to the ground, and this will cause some ion loss to the through the solar module frame to the ground. So our solution is to use the built-in PID board to take potential from the AC grid, and then to charge the negative pole of the solar modules to like charge back the lost ions to the solar module. This all happens at night, so we actually call it as a nighttime PID recovery solution. So at night we can recover this degradation, and then to help to recover the generation of the solar module during the day. So this is the PID recovery solution for our three-phase inverters. And then another is we are going to briefly introduce the Solis Cloud monitoring platform. So this platform is the new platform, new generation of Solis monitoring platform. And then we will have a very clear view on the website to show all the curves, and also have the strain monitoring functions, IV curve scanning functions for the O&M purpose. And then they depends on the inverters. If the inverter supports, then the monitoring can support. And then also the Solis Cloud platform can support the remote control, remote upgrade, and we can do almost all the settings that you can done through the LCD of the inverter. And for the Solis Cloud platform, I think we will release to Southeast Asian market like maybe very soon, maybe in the next month, like officially. So at that time, we will also have a new webinar to specifically introduce the Solis Cloud to you guys, and then you can raise whatever questions at that time. And then the last part is about the Solis reliability. So the first one is the RD reliability. So we have a very strong like R&D team, and then we also increased the R&D investment last year, like around doubled, so that we can timely meet the customer's demand or any customer requirements. So this is R&D reliability. Another is the manufacturing reliability. So our company has a full series of the manufacturing process, from SMT to the soldering, and then to the assembly. And then last and most important, which is a functional test and also the duration test before we shipping the products to the customer. So with the functional test and duration test, we can make sure that all our inverters coming out of the factory has a working condition without any failure rate on the inverter. This is a manufacturing reliability. And then another is the reliability of the internal components. So Solis, all our products normally use the internal components from the most famous brands all over the world. Like the IGBT, we always use Infineon, and also the LCD, we use the Doppler. So with all those famous brands or leading brands of different internal components, we can make sure our inverters has a quite low failure rate and higher reliability. And then another is about any some other third-party organizations like a ranking or something like that. Like the Bloomberg, we are the most bankable Asian inverter, and then we got the EUPD Research Award like for 5 years, 5 consecutive years. And then the last part is the DNVGL. So DNVGL, they did lifetime analyzed research report on our Solis inverters, and then their conclusion is that the useful life projections are at or near the top of the string inverter life projections. So which means our inverters has a quite decent reliability and a quite long life for the inverter's operation. Yeah, and this is a quote from the DNVGL's report, and here is the report of the Solis inverter lifetime analyzed. Okay, and then last part is about contact. So for Southeast Asia, we have branches in India and Vietnam, and also I think in Pakistan and also Thailand, we have some service engineers there that they can help to do the after sales troubleshooting or service work, and then that we can provide a better service in our Southeast Asian market. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much the presentation, and so you guys can, if you have any questions, we can discuss here. Okay, should I let me check. Okay. So you guys are free to open the mic and to talk to me, I think. Sorry. Okay. Well, we got some questions here. I don't know how to operate. Sorry. Let me check. Mark, 你那儿能把他们解除静音吗？
哦，我这边来操作一下。Okay, let me try.
Okay, Mark will try to unmute you. Okay, what models support AFCI? All models of Solis inverters support. The weather station, we have a compatible weather station supplier in China. So also for our Solis Cloud platform, we are able to be compatible with other third-party weather station. So if you have your own weather station or your own ideal weather station, then you can send to us, and then we will try to do the compatibility work. Who is also Sri Lanka? Well, that I think Mark can answer you, the authorized distributor for Sri Lanka. And then Yeah, the presentation will be shared to you guys after the meeting. Okay. Let me try. Okay. If I have 3P10K inverter, which EPM should I purchase to monitor the consumption monitor? So if you only have one three-phase inverter, so if you only have one 10K three-phase inverter, then you just need to connect the meter, so the smart meter, to do the consumption monitoring and export power control. So you don't need the EPM. So the EPM box is mainly used for system with multiple inverters. For example, if you have 2 units of the 10K, and then you can use the EPM. But if you only have one inverter, then you just need to use the meter to do that. Okay.
Well, I have a question.
Yeah.
If it's about the warranty. So if the warranty, if the inverter fail on 15, sorry, in 6th year, you will be replacing with the warranty for another 10 years.
Sorry, you mean the warranty of the inverter?
Yeah.
The warranty, I think
the
it's
major sense is that if you want to enjoy the 10 years warranty, you can buy 10 years warranty from us, or you can extend to 10 years warranty. So this is easy to operate.
Okay. Yeah. So 10 years is the standard warranty.
That depends. That depends. In some country, 10 years warranty is standard, like in United States. But in Sri Lanka or Pakistan, is not a standard.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
okay. Here is a question from Nico. Okay, so for bigger capacity inverter, so currently we have for the largest capacity inverter we have 255K, so 255K inverter. But if you need, we can talk with our sales team. And that inverter is mainly used for utility scale with 800 volt on the AC output. And then if you're talking about the 400 volt product, then we have the maximum is the 110K. So that should be suitable for most of the large commercial projects. And those products are already available. So those large capacity inverters are already available. So we're talking here is just a new product. And for the new plus version model, we're going to release maybe in July of this year. So maybe a one. Yeah.
Hello.
And how? Yeah. Any questions?
Hello.
Okay. How to manage high voltage above the grid allowed limit from the line side due to low usage in the grid? Okay. So first, the high voltage is normally is not caused by the inverter, because the inverter just push the power into the grid, and due to the line impedance or the line resistance from the inverter to the transformer side, so that high voltage will happen. So there are several ways to do that. So one is we have some functions inside the inverter that we call the volt watt. So it's like we will reduce the output power based on the increase in voltage. In that way, we can make sure the inverter is maintained working instead of just going to the protection mode. For the details, we can discuss in different cases, and then we will show you how to solve the high voltage problem. Okay, so maybe if you have any question, if you have any problems on this part, then you can send us email, and we will reply you like one by one for the case. recent EES. Okay. Can you brief more on the recent EESS that just launched? Flex One. Okay. Flex One is the all-in-one hybrid products like it's maybe you guys know that previously we have the Arch I series hybrid inverter. So the Flex One is just like placing the Arch I inverter inside and then create another cabin for placing the battery, and then also together with the bypass switch and also all those switches for the PV battery or AC side. Actually, if you are interested, you can send us you can give us email, and then we will share you some data sheet or menu or some presentations about that. I think we will also release this Flex One products in Southeast Asian market, but currently we just released that for Australia. So maybe in the next a few weeks or months, we will have this product launched in Southeast Asia. Okay. Grade voltage possible grade voltage auto setting. I'm not sure what this setting is, but as I said, we have the volt watt working mode, which is the reducing the output power with the increasing voltage. So that function can maintain the inverter working in a high voltage condition. So it can lower the generation instead of directly going to the protection mode. As you said, type 2 SPD is built, so it necessarily install additional SPD. Yeah, that's a good question. So all our three-phase inverters like the S5 series 50 to 60K, and also even larger size of the three-phase inverters, we have the built-in type 2 SPD on both AC and DC side. But type 2 SPD can only withstand that certain waveform of the surge, and if you have a very high frequent like a lighting area, so we also suggest you install the lighting rod and also the type 1 SPD in front of the inverter. So in that way, it can protect the inverter from the direct lighting from the sky. Okay, in Sri Lanka, SDA requires 10-year warranty for the inverter. Are you enforcing it to the reseller? Well, that you can discuss with Mark. Mark is the sales team, and okay. And in case replacement is possible or user friendly. Yeah, normally for those three small power rating inverters, we do the whole unit replacement. So if there you find any after sales cases that requires the inverter to be replaced, then we directly replace the inverter instead of replacing the internal component. So this can save a lot of time for our installers and our sellers. So yeah, so our logic, our strategy is to replace inverter in the whole unit. And regarding the warranty, what is the process of warranty claiming? As I'm in Sri Lanka, what are the steps you're carrying out for inverter warranty replacing? This will be useful for market Solis market by giving a good explanation. Okay. So we should have after sales teams direct responsible for the after sales claiming or warranty claiming. And I think if you guys have widget or something, you can ask Mark to create a group for you guys and also the after sales team, and then they will handle the warranty things like quickly. So through the widget we can do that quickly, or you can directly send us email to do the warranty claim. What are the recommended battery for hybrid inverter? So depends on what hybrid inverter you're talking about. So we have the RHI series for low voltage battery, and that RHI series hybrid inverter can connect a 48 volt either lithium battery or lead acid battery or the VRL battery. So we will recommend the lithium battery with the built-in BMS, because that in that way we can do the control like more reliably, because most of the lead acid batteries, they do not have the BMS, and then the control will be quite different than the lithium battery. Okay, yeah, Mark will send you for the detailed distributor details. And is it warranty for Sri Lanka 10 years? It's only for America. Well, for the warranty in Sri Lanka, you can discuss with Mark. But yes, for America, it's 10 years because it's different US version products. It's looking for showing waiting time. Yeah, so waiting time, so showing waiting on the display has several reasons. So some of the reasons is like the AC side or DC side are not reaching the operating condition, so the inverter will wait to be connected to the grid. And then another problem is that inside the inverter, inside the internal circuit has some problem. So you can talk to our after sales team to decide like how to deal with the inverter keep showing in waiting status. Showing reconnection waiting time. Reconnecting waiting time on display. I think we don't have any sim showing as reconnecting waiting time. Okay. I understand. So you mean when the inverter is when the AC side is having some problem and they want to reconnect to the inverter or reconnect the inverter to the grid? Currently we do not show the waiting time for the reconnection, but the reconnecting time that you can set through the grid standard code. Most of standards has like maybe 3 minutes or 5 minutes of the reconnecting waiting time. So you can set that waiting time, but we will not actually show that time on the LCD. Okay, do we want to install separate? Yeah, you can set the reconnecting time. And then do we want to install separate DC AC SPD for inverter comes with built-in SPD? Yeah, as we said, so depends on your needs. Depends on your system install whether it's installed in a potential area for the lightning strike, direct lightning strike. So for that area, then we will recommend to install the external AC or DC SPD. But if you are just install the inverter in your house and in your garage, then without any possibility to be struck by the lightning, then you don't need to do any extra DC or AC SPD. What are the available already launched models for industry project around? Yeah, okay. So for around 100 to 20K. So if you want the AC side, AC output of 400 volt, then our maximum model is 110K, 110 kilowatt. And then if you want to have the AC output of 800 volt or even 600 volt, then we have the maximum model is the 255K. So it depends on your AC output. We have different options. Solis inverter, high grid voltage, even grid voltage giving alarm again. We have to increase inverter voltage, but the Department of Electricity does not allow ingress voltage for inverter. Yeah. So in that way, you can try to check with your AC wiring, because most of the high voltage are due to the resistance on your AC cable. So if you have a very thin AC cable or a very long AC cable, that resistance will be quite high. And then with that resistance, then when the inverter is trying to push the current to the grid, it will cause a quite large voltage drop from the grid side to the inverter. Then the inverter on the AC terminal of the inverter will have a quite high voltage, and then to leads to the like over voltage alarm or something like that. So you can try to check with your AC wiring, and then to maybe use a thicker AC cable. Okay, off-grid hybrid inverter. Yeah, we do have plan for the off-grid inverter. The product is ready, but it haven't been released yet. So we're waiting for the final permission of the company. So there is an off-grid hybrid inverter we have. But currently the off-grid is not ready yet. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think no more other questions. All right. Okay, that will be all for the webinar and presentation. Yeah. Thank you guys for attending this webinar, and we're hoping to see you in the next webinar that we're going to have. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, connecting to the Wi-Fi router. Okay. Yeah, send us email about your problem, and then we will try to solve it with our after sales team. Okay. All right. Thank you guys. Cheers. Cheers. Yeah. Bye. Yeah. Cheers. Bye.